doing a lot with the American people. If we stop putting our focus on somebody being racist, racism is a race to gather resources. There is nobody preventing you from gathering resources. There's nobody preventing you from growing your own garden, gathering resources to have food. There's nobody preventing you from investing in gold and silver, which is real money. There's nobody preventing you from investing in a resource of family and resource of education. There's nobody preventing you from educating your own children. There's nobody preventing you from establishing a militia to protect your own family, which is lawful to have a militia. There's nobody preventing you from doing this. So if racism is about a race to resources, what we need to do is stop focusing on what the government is or is not doing for us and become self-empowered and self-sufficient. Nobody is preventing you from doing that. Why are men on their knees talking about taking a knee for justice? I'm a woman. I don't have respect for a man on his knees. You're a man, you're a soldier. Get up on your feet and defend your community. Why you got your hands up talking about hands up, don't shoot? You are a man. Use those hands to pick up arms, which is your constitutional right, and defend me and my children. What is it with these whining, complaining, weak, mealy mouthed, jellyback men that want to take knees? Get off your knees and stand up on your feet and defend me and my community. What the heck? Why are you worried about what Donald Trump is doing? You are a grown man. Why are you concerned about the words that come out of his mouth? As a woman, I respect a man that says what he means, a man that means what he says and says it without apologizing. Has anybody in the room ever been charged with being forced to apologize for something that you felt strongly about? Absolutely. And did you apologize? Hell no, because you are a man. You stand on your principles. You say what you mean. You mean what you say. You're not mean. You mean it.
It's the best of the best. It's the one and only DJ Ice, Louisville's coldest DJ.
Welcome to Conscious Fever.
It's Karl Price.
Ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've been waiting for. It's rated ice time. So listen responsibly.
Good evening. Welcome to Conscious Fever here on Ice Entertainment Television and Conscious Fever Radio. I am Karl Price, your host tonight. Welcome to the show, to this hot Saturday night in Louisville, Kentucky. I want to just take the time to say thank you for watching us. And remember, you can always watch us on the Conscious Fever page on Facebook. You can also watch us on the YouTube page, on the YouTube channel. I'm here tonight with DJ Ice.
What's up?
Not much, man. How are you doing?
Hot.
It is hot. Your kind of weather, though, right?
Yeah. 90 plus.
90 plus all through the weekend until the first part of next week.
90 plus.
Yeah.
I'm all right with it.
Yeah. I'm okay with the hot weather, too. It's okay to wear a fur coat every now and then, even though I don't own one. But anyway, this is Conscious Fever. I'm Karl Price, your host. We've got a full show tonight. We've got an interesting interview that I think I'm going to try to moderate when they come on. Is Dr. Kia Pruitt. She's a PhD, got that PhD, yeah. Yeah, Dr. Kia Pruitt.
Friend of the show.
And I got a feeling that she's going to be on fire, DJ Ice.
Yeah.
You got a feeling
She be on fire with her comments.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine when she's talking.
Right.
Oh.
I think she's going to be on fire tonight.
And she's pro-Trump, too.
She is pro-Trump.
Ooh.
So we have one Trump supporter, as you see the title. She's a Trump supporter. He's not. The conversation. So tonight they're going to have the conversation. Hi, Rosalind Walker. How you doing? I'm trying to deal with these comments as I see them. But anyway, she's a Trump supporter, and she's a proud Trump supporter. She rises with 45. No, she rides. R-I-D-E-S, not R-I-S-E. I thought she said she rides with 45 last time she was on the show.
Well,
she ride, R-I-D-E? Okay.
I think she was more saying that, like the things that she wanted to point out the things that he have done.
Well, I expected,
and a lot of people don't want to give him credit for that. I think that's like her her anger at people.
And I expect that she's going to do that with us tonight. Her name is Dr. Kia Pruitt. She's going to be, on the opposite side of her is going to be Mr. Alvin Brown. He's a Lexington native and a Lexington resident, and he hates Trump. So, and I think, you know, one of the questions that I know that I've got here is, and I can't wait to ask it, do conservatives, Trump supporters, similar to Dr. Kia Pruitt and Candace Owens, support the president regardless of him being deemed a sexual predator, a serial liar, and a racist? I'm interested to see how Dr. Pruitt is going to handle that question. Anyway, this is Conscious Fever. Thank you once again to everybody who watched the show on the Conscious Fever page last week. What was this? 50,000, 60,000?
I think views?
Okay.
Close to it.
Yeah, I lost count because I was reading the comments. The comments were really
man,
heated.
yeah.
Man, did they get heated.
Yeah.
But I want to remind y'all that we have Race Debate Part 2 coming up, and we have Black on Black Crime Part 2 coming up. Of course, Black on Black Crime is a conversation that we have to have, because as I was coming up to the studio, the double shooting in the Newburgh area.
Oh, Lord.
Okay, now I'm not going to assume that they were black. I'm just going to say that they were probably black. There was a shooting outside of my office today, right in the middle of downtown.
Yes.
And they were black.
Yeah.
And the young man died, 20 years old.
Well, he was white.
He was white?
He was light skinned.
He was light skinned, yeah, because I saw him on the ground and I thought he was white, but apparently he was light skinned.
Oh. He's light then.
Yeah, because I think
was talking on the his mom and dad. They white.
Well, I was looking at it from my office window because I'm on the phone and I hear pop, pop.
Pop, pop.
I heard the first pop and I said, "Wow, that was pretty loud." It's in the middle of the day. It's like around
it's
lunchtime.
daytime. Yeah,
So I look out the window and then I see somebody look as if they're pointing, and then they take off about 5 young black men. They look to be young black men. Just take off running up Liberty Street.
Wow.
Towards 4th Street. And then I saw everybody tending to this guy, and the guy looked as if he was white from where I was. But it makes sense that he was light-skinned because I later heard from one of the news reports that it was a black male. So anyway, the Black on Black Crime Part 2, we're going to have that discussion. We're going to have that discussion for obvious reasons. So in any case, but I want to, in advance, thank our guest tonight that's going to be joining us here shortly, Alvin Brown from Lexington and Dr. Kia Pruitt from here, proudly from the University of Louisville, she said. But anyway, it's going to be an interesting discussion about, from a Trump supporter. I know everybody wants to invite a Trump supporter to their show and talk to him, and I can tell y'all that I'm not going to be rough. I'm just going to try to stay neutral through the whole process, just so you guys will know. But anyway, I think it's going to be an interesting discussion. I'm always fair. I'm absolutely always fair. Always fair.
Because Al's one of the bros, right?
He
K-State alumni?
I don't know if he's K-State. I don't think he's K-State. But he'll tell me when he comes on the show.
Oh, okay, I'm going to ask him.
Oh, is he on the K-State one?
I don't know. He's
I just know he's a cool dude, and he loves Obama, and he hates Trump.
Oh, well, he's the perfect person
to match the opposite Dr. Kia Pruitt. So anyway, Ice, but your week was okay?
Yeah.
Because it was warm.
Yeah.
We missed you last week.
Yeah, man.
A very interesting show with John Yah.
John Yah.
Black on Black Crime Part 1.
I got to make it up to Brother John Yah because I love when he's here, man, because we get to talking about our sea moss and stuff. And I'm still taking my sea moss, and I'm feeling good. Haven't had any signs of getting ill, so I'm all right. And whether I wear a mask or not.
Yeah, I'll say this, John Yah, if you're listening, you better start wearing a mask, man.
Uh-oh.
I got a mask. Actually, Mercedes-Benz, I meant to bring it up here from my office. Mercedes-Benz sent me a black mask, and I've been wearing it.
Okay.
Because now I'm convinced that if you don't wear these masks, you ultimately eventually you're going to run into somebody with the virus that's going to sneeze, that's going to talk too loud, and And, depending on the value of your immune system, you're likely to catch it. Guess who's got it? Guess who's in the hospital after attending the Trump rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma?
Oh, no, who?
The pizza man, Herman Cain.
Oh.
Remember he ran for president? Herman Cain is in he's been in the hospital for about a week, I think.
Wow.
With the coronavirus after leaving the Trump rally.
It was only like 20 people, wasn't it?
No, it was like 6,000.
Oh, okay.
It was
like 20 people. They reported it was like.
It was probably 20 people in Donald Trump eyes because they expected 1 million.
Yeah.
Although the place only held 19,000, they expected an overflow of people wanting to get in, knocking down the doors to get in, and it was only like 6,000 or 7,000. But Herman Cain was one of them, and he has caught the coronavirus. So listen, not for that reason, but for other reasons that I've been looking into this thing, and I've been paying attention to some stuff, and I am convinced that a lot of lives can be saved by wearing a mask. So I've mandated it in my office now, and when I have clients coming in, and nobody can come and see me without a mask. So anyway. Let's get right into this. We've got Dr. Kia Pruitt, and we've got Mr. Alvin Brown. So we're going to take a quick break, and once we come back from this break, we are going to be joined via Zoom by Dr. Kia Pruitt, proud Trump supporter.
That's what you're going to be
and
hearing.
never Trump supporter. Actually, he likes Obama very well. Is Mr. Alvin Brown. They're going to join us on the other side of the break. We'll be right back. On Conscious Fever Radio, Ice Entertainment Television. Tonight we have guests via Zoom, and our guest is Dr. Kia Pruitt from right here in Louisville, Kentucky, and our other guest is Mr. Alvin Brown from Lexington, Kentucky. Right, Mr. Brown?
That is correct.
Okay, and our topic tonight is that she supports Trump. He doesn't support Trump. The conversation. So again, I'm going to ask the guest tonight, starting with Dr. Pruitt. If you just introduce yourself and tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Dr. Kia Pruitt. I am originally from Cleveland, Ohio, but I have been here since 2001. I consider myself a light being, which means that I incarnated here on Earth to raise the vibrations of the planet, to bring joy and happiness, and also to help liberate humanity. I do have a background in journalism, education, and counseling and counseling psychology.
Okay, and the doctor title comes from where?
From the University of Louisville.
Okay, and that's a PhD?
PhD, yes, in education and counseling psychology.
Okay. Great. Well, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Mr. Brown.
Yes, I am from Lexington, Kentucky. Most of my life, I've been a contractor in the contract cleaning business, starting back in the 1970s, and has been able to grow my business in 3 different states, and was doing great before the pandemic came, as that particular virus struck down 95% of my business. But I was able to survive that because I made great business decisions prior to the pandemic during the whole course of my career as an entrepreneur. I'm a proud grandfather and a great patriot of my family. I've been able to shelter and raise 7 grandkids, as I had a family member that made wrong decisions and was caught up in the drug culture. So I took all my grandkids and raised them, and they're doing great. So that's my proud and shining moment.
Okay, great. And welcome to the show, Mr. Brown.
Thank you.
Tonight, as I've indicated, again, welcome everybody to Conscious Fever. Obviously, when I say she supports Trump, there's only one guest that's a female, so that's Dr. Kia Pruitt. And Dr. Pruitt, you are a Trump supporter.
Yes.
And I think the last time we had you here on the show, you called in and we hooked you in through Zoom, and you said you rise with 45.
Yeah, I rise with 45, or I rides with 45.
Yes, okay.
I rides.
Okay. And Alvin Brown, Mr. Brown, you are I guess you consider yourself not a Trump supporter. Absolutely not a Trump supporter.
No, I'm not a Trump supporter. I don't agree with the president's policies, and particularly his demeanor when it comes to minorities, when it comes to women. And I think that he has a rap sheet, if you will. And, you've been a former prosecutor, you know what a rap sheet is. And I think he's been bad for the country. And particularly in the age that we're in now, Carl, that he's been dumbfounded when it comes to the pandemic that I just spoke about. And he's also the wrong person to address the racial strife and the all the confusion that's taken place due to the death of George Floyd. He's not been able, or capable, or incapable, or not willing to give a speech regarding racial relationships in this country. So
okay.
I do have.
And Alvin, I think we lost your video, just FYI.
Okay.
But you can go ahead and continue to talk. We still have you. Okay, great. We got you back.
So in essence, there is a despise that exists with the president, and those are the things, the critical critique that I have of 45.
Okay, so what we're going to do tonight, we're going to get into some questions. And is it fair to say that you're an Obama? You supported Obama, Alvin?
Yeah, I supported Obama. Because he did come in as the first black president, but he was trying to get policies established that would benefit not just black people, but all Americans. And we know that his signature advancement was Obamacare, which drew a whole bunch of despise from Republicans that ran in every sector of America, from city government to state government and to national government, that they used Obamacare to sort of spirit them into their elected spots. But Obamacare, as you know, has been very instrumental in this pandemic. So certainly his vision might not have been great back then, but certainly we can say that moving forward, that having that particular endeavor has probably saved a whole bunch of people's lives.
Okay. Well, let me start with some questions. I've got a few questions here, and Alvin, since I just left off with you, I'm going to let you start, and I'm going to pose this question. Do conservatives, i.e. Trump supporters, similar to Dr. Kia Pruitt and Candace Owens, support the president regardless of him being deemed a sexual predator, a serial liar, and a racist? And that's the question you want to have an answer to. Is that right, Alvin?
That's correct.
Okay. Dr. Pruitt.
Yes, sir.
What say you?
Well, I say, let me reiterate his question. Do I support Donald Trump in spite of the fact that, according to our guest, he was deemed a sexual predator, a serial liar, and racist?
Yes.
Okay. I would ask deemed by whom, because to my knowledge, I don't know that President Donald Trump has been found guilty of any type of sexual predatory behavior. As a matter of fact, I do believe that one of the women who said that he sexually harassed her actually dropped her case. So unless we can show proof that the man has been, I don't know, charged with some type of sexual predatory act, then I cannot say that he is guilty of that. And in terms of him being a serial liar, you have to give me an example of what he lied about, because I know sometimes presidents, as he does, being a Freemason and being in certain societies, speak in codes. And so everybody doesn't understand the language in which he speaks. So you will have to give me an example of him being a liar. And then the term racist, from a sociological standpoint, I do have a background. My bachelor's degree was in social sciences, which was sociology, psychology, and economics and political science, all mixed up in one. So from a sociological standpoint, racism is having the power to suppress or oppress a group of people. From an economic standpoint, racism is just about being in a race to gather resources. So if somebody is in a race to gather resources, I honestly don't see anything wrong with that. I think everybody should be in a race to gather resources. And I think that people spend too much time complaining and whining about what someone is or is not doing for them. And so my question would be, who's preventing you from gathering resources? Because to my knowledge, no government is preventing you from being in a race to gather resources. If we're talking about from an economic standpoint. So I don't consider Donald Trump a racist. He might be a nationalist, which I think everybody should be a nationalist. And a nationalist is just someone who loves his or her nation. So you have to give me examples of him being a serial liar. What has he done to make you feel that he's a racist? And what cases have been brought against him, and what charges to indicate that he has been a sexual predator?
Okay. So, that's interesting. Before I ask a few questions, Alvin, do you have any response to that?
Well, I think
that was an earful.
Yeah, I think that you would have to take and go into your show next week to explain the lies that he would have told. Then you have to make sure that he didn't take a diluted version of truth serum, and make sure that if you hooked him up to a lie detector test, that it was properly calibrated. I certainly when he said that when Colin Kaepernick took and kneeled and taking a stance against the national anthem because of the way that blacks were being killed in America, that Donald Trump came out and said that I would fire those SOBs, and he was making mention of the black NFL players that stood with Colin Kaepernick. That there are so many women that came forward that had suits and lawsuits about the president, that he had groped them, that he admitted on a bus ride with Billy Bush, the famous bus ride, where he said that he groped women in their private parts, and that he will let you kiss them all over. While that is circumstantial, it came out of his mouth, and whatever's in a person's heart will come out of their mouth.
Right, but Alvin, but Alvin, let me intervene here. She actually said that he had not been convicted in a court of law. And I guess my question in response to that is that what about the court of public opinion? And is it necessary before we deem an individual a sexual predator that he has to have a conviction in a court of law? Your thoughts?
I don't think that he has to be convicted in a court of law to be deemed as a sexual predator when he admitted that this is the type of conduct that he engages in. I just think that being the sitting president of the United States, it would be awful difficult to bring him to a courtroom to answer to any charges like that. Similar, it would be difficult to bring him into a courtroom to be able to answer to the hundreds of complaints regarding him failing to pay people, all the bankruptcies, all the ways he's ran companies. So as a sitting president, there's certain things that you can't bring against him. But if those things come out of his mouth, where he said that he grabbed someone and sexually assaulted them, making him a sexual predator, if it comes out of his mouth that the SOBs in the NFL should be fired, I wouldn't let them on the field, and he's talking about black people. If he says that black people come from those assholes, come from countries throughout the world where the hue of the skin color is black. If he's talking about those individuals and they are black, that deems him as a racist. So we can't run away from the fact of the things that come out of his mouth. While there is no prosecutor that has prosecuted him or brought charges into a formal court regarding what comes out of his mouth, we certainly know that if it comes out of his mouth that he's done those things, it certainly means that he's that person.
Okay, Dr. Pruitt, I know you were moving around there. What's your response?
Listen, I never said that he was perfect, okay? But what I am saying is, yes, if you're going to say someone is a racist or that someone is a sexual predator, then for me, you need to show me that he has been prosecuted and charged for those alleged offenses. In terms of him saying he groped a woman by the private parts, you know, if he admitted to saying that, then I would submit to you that that's probably something that a man says that is I would feel as a woman may not be appropriate in terms of male-female dynamics, but I live in a patriarchal society. And if I, you know, honestly, if I can be honest, I've heard melanated men talking about beating it up, knocking the walls out, breaking the back, you know what I mean? Saying a lot of things that are not necessarily appropriate when speaking about women. Again, I've never said the man was he was perfect, but I will say that whatever he does or whatever he said, it has not prevented him from being a good president, from signing things into law to help our great republic, from signing executive orders to help the Black community and America in general. So
what executive orders has he signed to help the Black community? Give an example of what he. I'm not trying to usurp Karl as being a host. Give an example.
Well, one of the things that he did that helps everybody is the executive order to hold up the what is it called? People who have committed sexual offenses, human trafficking, sexual child sex trafficking. He has held up their money. He has the words are escaping me.
Right. What do you mean when you say held up their money? I mean, was there an appropriation to these people by the government or something that he impeded getting to them?
Yeah. I can't think of the proper words. That's probably because I'm nervous. But
that's okay. Don't be nervous. But let me switch to something else real quick, Dr. Pruitt, because you said this also. You said that you didn't think that he was a liar, and I guess in my response to that is that I was watching a news conference earlier, and one of the things he said was that he said, of course, the jobs report came out today. And in response to that, he says, "Oh, the economy is roaring back."
Yes,
I actually laughed. I actually chuckled when I heard him say that because I didn't think that was true. I don't think, and I might be wrong. I'm just a little country boy lawyer. I just might be wrong, but I don't. As I sit here today, I don't feel like the economy is roaring back because we've made up 3 million of the 40 million jobs that we lost since March.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that the official numbers are out yet. And so I can only take his word if I haven't done the research. But one of the things I like about Donald Trump is he's a great manifester. And one of the things you learn when you're talking about manifestation is you speak in the present. You speak things that are not as though they are. And so when he talks about this being a booming economy and this being a great economy, I feel like he's saying this is something that he's bringing into fruition. And although we might argue with the numbers, I don't know that he's not telling the truth. I don't know what to measure that against. I'm sorry.
The number does not support what's being said. That there's other news recent people out there that track the demographic of the numbers. and people are losing their jobs and they're not coming back to the jobs. And the pandemic, sure, has something to do with that. But Donald Trump had boasted, along with other Republicans, when he was elected, that Obamacare would be bad for the economy. But yet, Republicans make claims that that the Trump economy was robust, that it was brought back, the numbers was great in all sectors of America. But yet and still, Obamacare was part of that economy. That Obamacare was never bad. It never played a part of hurting the deficit in a Trump economy or any other economy. That all of that was just a lie to say that because of this initiative by that black president, that initiative was working, that it never was an albatross on the economy, that the economy survived with Obamacare in place, that particular initiative by President Obama has survived for 4 years. Why has it been just a desperation move by your president, 45, Mitch McConnell and others, to extract Obamacare, which is safe economically and morally to people that need it when they go into hospitals?
But
all right, Dr. Pruitt.
Yes.
Go ahead.
But is it constitutional to force any type of medical care on anybody? People should have a choice, so I don't know if that's constitutional to say you have to have medical care, and if you have to have medical insurance, and if you don't, medical coverage, then if you don't, then you have to choose Obamacare, and if you don't have any type of medical care, then you're taxed. I don't know that that's constitutional.
But Trump said he would have great medical care, greater than Obamacare. That hasn't taken place. That policy is not coming to fruition.
But let me tell you,
how long do we have to wait? Do we have to wait to the second term of Trump to get better health care? No. The Supreme Court, Judge John Roberts, who was a conservative leaning, was the deciding vote on Obamacare. The decision went 5-4, with Roberts as the one saying, yes, we're going to pass it as a tax. A conservative judge. He got death threats from conservatives because he felt like that particular endeavor, that particular policy would help Americans. That's why he passed it. John Roberts, conservative leaning, passed the law 5-4.
All right, Dr. Pruitt, go ahead.
Let me tell you something about Donald Trump. Donald Trump's main mission was to take down the United States Incorporated. The United States was usurped. Our republic was usurped in 1871 and turned into a corporation. It now has a Dun and Bradstreet number. So it was incorporated in 1871, and we were taken off of constitutional law and put onto admiralty law. So Donald Trump was recruited to dismantle the United States Incorporated and to dismantle the Federal Reserve banking system, which made us all debt slaves, and to restore the republic and put us back on constitutional law. That was his main mission. That's why he was recruited. And he has done very well at that. So you have House Resolution 24 and House Resolution 25, which monitors and dismantles the IRS. And we see evidence of that today. That plagues not only the Black community, but every community being taxed. Taxing the American people is unlawful. The IRS is an unlawful corporate institution that has nothing to do with our government, nothing to do with our republic. The Federal Reserve is an unlawful corporate institution that that is not federal, has nothing to do with our government. We see him rolling over the IRS and the Federal Reserve into the United States Treasury Department, which is constitutional, and making sure that the United States Treasury Department deals with all the money. We see him nominating Dr. Judy Shelton to be over the Federal Reserve because she's a gold bug. We see him talking about bringing us back to the gold standard because gold is what constitutionally what money is. Money is defined as gold and silver. We see evidence of that today. We have 15 states right now that use gold and silver as legal tender. Do you know what that's going to do for the Black community and for everybody? That's going to take the power away from the federal banking system and put the power back into the hands of the people. That's going to give us great wealth. That's going to allow us to have more buying power. That's going to allow us to actually have silver and gold. I mean, the man is brilliant at making sure that this is done.
How can it be? Let me ask you this, Doc, and
Yes.
I appreciate your commentary and the demographics, the numbers that you bring to the table. But this is the president that you're boasting about is such an economical genius. Has
He's an economist, by the way.
has ran companies into the ground and ran corporations into bankruptcy. That
Did
I
he
would
really?
say that it is the economists, the genius economists behind him that is talking those numbers. Those are the same failed policies that was attached to Reaganomics back in the 1980s when I went into business, when his chief financial strategist, David Stockman, called them voodoo economics. You're talking the same voodoo economics that I heard in 1980. You're talking the same voodoo economics that was under the Bush tax cut that led us into a great recession. That the policies of conservatives, the only thing that they do is they lift up, and then when something happens like a pandemic or two wars, then everybody's in crisis, scrapping and collecting, stomping on cans to take them to a junkyard to get money. That from 1980 all the way up to now, the three presidents that I can think of, Republican presidents, has ran our economy into a ground. You take that against Bill Clinton and against Barack Obama, who steadied deficits, and the numbers are supported bipartisan. That those two guys steadied terrible economies. And George W. Bush daddy rode on the coattails of Ronald Reagan, had one term, and left us with bad economy.
What about hey Alvin? Quick question. What about today? What about when you talk about the economy? Now I'm going to ask a question about the economy. When you talk about the economy, how do you respond to the fact that this Republican Senate, okay, and this Republican White House has given away basically more than $1 trillion in this stimulus stuff?
To steady the economy, any economist would tell you that in order to stifle a Great Depression, that you have to give stimulus money similar to what George W. Bush done in 2008, when he called all the senators back to Washington to vote on a package. At that time, we all got $600 a piece. That was to stifle a great recession, a depression. I would say that the pandemic is not Donald Trump's fault. Subsequently, in order to steady the Trump economy, that they had to agree on sending out a stimulus check. They had to. That don't have anything to do with politics. That just has to do with common sense.
Right, but sending out that stimulus check adds to the national deficit, which is something that Republicans have touted for many, many years that they were absolutely against, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so Dr. Pruitt.
They don't believe in giving. Yes, it goes against their ideology.
Okay, Dr. Pruitt. So
yes,
that leads me right into this question. What has the Trump administration done for America's economy? Or what has the Trump administration done for America economically?
I think that actually putting money into the hands of the people through the stimulus package is amazing. He didn't bail out corporations. He didn't bail out banks. He put money into the hands of the American people, which stimulates the economy. So I think that's wonderful. He also
right, but Dr. Pruitt, excuse me a second, but isn't that basically passing the debt on to our grandchildren and great-grandchildren?
How so? I don't see it as passing debt onto.
Well, at some point, we have to get out of this deficit. Otherwise, we're going to be whore to China for generations.
Let me say, yes.
And not only to China and everybody else that we owe a debt to as America. So, at some point, if we don't pay it during our lifetime, then obviously the lifetime after us is going to pay it.
You know, so that's interesting that you should say that, because I did a little background research on how countries have historically dealt with debt. And no, I don't know if this is right or wrong, but no country has ever paid off all of their debts. What they have done is they use the credit system of the existing government, and they rack up the debt, and then they dismantle that system and move to a gold standard.
Kind of
So
like bank.
yeah, like bankrupt. And since you brought up bankruptcy, actually, that's a brilliant chess move, because when you commit, I mean, I guess he is the bankruptcy expert, but yet his businesses still stand. And he's a bankruptcy expert, which makes sense that they recruited him to bankrupt the United States corporation and the Federal Reserve banking system, and then usher us into a new gold back economy and gold back system.
And maybe that's okay.
I mean,
But Carl, let me interject this. The stimulus check was produced because of a pandemic. When we had discussions about the pandemic, we had to take and involve scientists, world-renowned scientists, to share information to attack an invisible monster. And it seemed like that the president in press conferences ignored Dr. Fauci. And I'm not going to even use Dr. Fauci to throw him into this, because the president would have to make, the ultimate decision. But he encouraged people to take a medicine that was deemed dangerous, that was treating malaria over in Africa.
Yeah.
He said that he talked about drinking a bleach or sanitizer and played it off as if
He did not talk about drinking bleach. No, he did not.
But he did encourage those folks to try the malaria drug, which I can't, pronounce. But it seemed like
the mainstream media told you he was saying to drink bleach, but that's not what he said.
It seemed like he was worried more about livelihood and the economy instead of lives. And those are two different things. Person's livelihood means they have to go out and work to get money to take care of their families. But also you're playing with your life, because this was a serious disease that spread rapidly. And he encouraged governors to open up the economy, and the governors that went out first was Republican governors in Florida, Texas, and other areas. And now the COVID-19 is spreading like wildfire.
Is it?
Now they're closing their governments back, right?
I mean,
is it really, or that's what the mainstream media is telling you? Those are the numbers that they're touting. Is it really?
The mainstream media is the governors of those states. That's who's saying it. The governors. This is not a fake news moment. This is not a Donald Trump fake news moment.
So, Dr. Pruitt, do you believe? Go ahead, Alvin.
Fake news is only convenient to cover the lies of Donald Trump. But if it's not fake news when it's true, what the fake news is just saying, fake news means the mainstream media, they lying on Donald Trump. Is it fake news? Is it fake news when he has press conferences, when he's surrounded by Dr. Fauci, the vice president, and the chick that has the scarf, and those things are coming out of his mouth?
You keep your friends close and your enemies closer. By having Dr. Fauci and other people who are a part of the swamp, you'll put them in front of the people so that the people can see who they really are. Now, he told you he came to drain the swamp, and he is draining the swamp. And some people have to see with their own eyes.
Doctor, in what way has he drained the swamp?
Oh, there have been.
In what way we mentioned that he's given money to black colleges, HBCUs. Why are those black presidents coming out and praising the president or boasting that he's giving that money when Obama done it first? I don't understand. Why ain't they coming in and say, oh man, I might not agree with the president's policies, but he gave us a bunch of money to make sure that students are going to graduate and become doctors and lawyers and all of that. Why aren't these presidents collectively having a Zoom meeting like we are and praising the president?
Well, were you going to say something, Brother Karl?
No, go ahead. I was just switching the screen for you.
Okay. Yes, actually, he has given money to historically black colleges and universities, which I think is amazing considering that black colleges and universities have been underfunded. Not only has he done that, but he has also made it so that, and signed executive orders so that children can decide for themselves and their families can decide for themselves which schools they can attend. And that significantly impacts children that are classified as Black because they've been relegated to only go to the schools in their communities. Now they can choose the schools that they want to attend. He even gave some scholarships to African American children, which I think is amazing. Not only that, but he also did prison reform with the First Step Act, which let out a lot of thousands of nonviolent offenders, 90% or more of whom were African American males who had nonviolent offenses. Contrary to him, you had on the other side of him, you had Clinton, who locked up a lot of our men with the 3 strikes, you're out rule. And you had his wife calling our young Black males super predators. But then you have Donald Trump, who has the First Step Act to allow for prison reform and let our men out of prison. I think that's amazing. I don't understand how we can have an issue with him. And now, wait a minute. Now I want to say something to what you said about the ultraviolet light curing COVID-19. Ultraviolet light does cure 19. Even the sun cures the virus. Also, he talked about disinfectants. That is a medical procedure, disinfectants, to actually kill a virus by injecting it through the veins. He never said to drink bleach. The Mockingbird media, which was the Mockingbird media, which was created by the CIA, lies in order to control the minds of the people. And this is why President Donald Trump calls them fake news, because they don't tell the truth. It's proven that they were created by the CIA in order to control the minds of the people.
But Dr. Pruitt, but do you think the media, the CNNs, the MSNBCs, the Foxes, CBS, the ABCs, the NBCs, do you think they're actually coming on the air every night and every day telling the fib?
I think they're going to do whatever they have to do to secure their job and to stay in power. When you talk about draining the swamp, again, you're talking about a United States corporation, a whole corporation of people that infiltrated politics, the media, education, government, every aspect of society in order to maintain their control. So if they have to lie in order to maintain their control, then absolutely, I believe they would get on the television and lie. Look at what they have done through the media. They have, through the media, because he brought up George Floyd, convinced the whole world to riot, to protest, to tear up their countries. When a protest, according to Black's Law Dictionary, isn't even about marching. According to Black's Law Dictionary, a protest is a formal document that's signed by
by George Washington and those guys back in the 1700s.
No. By a notary. That's what a protest is. So if you want to do something, do it lawfully. Do it lawfully. So the media has launched this massive rally for people to tear up their communities and tear up the country and tear up their states because of something that unfortunately occurred in Minneapolis. I think it's horrible, but I don't understand how so many people can be so concerned about that to the extent that they're not even concerned about Black lives mattering in their own cities, in their own lives, in their own country, in their own states.
But the protests are similar to when King was protesting. You had police out there with German shepherds the size of dinosaurs biting on African Americans who was enjoying a peaceful protest. They was being followed by cameramen, maybe one out of antiquated camera, ABC, NBC, and whoever else had the power of the media entity back in, was in Birmingham, Alabama, following Dr. King. Well, you got 1 million cameras now. They're called iPhones, and they're capturing images. They're capturing images of African Americans getting killed. That the George Floyd, it was the way that he was killed.
Yeah.
It goes back. There is a long million visuals of African Americans getting killed at the hands of police. And what has been decided is enough is enough. Similar to the Me Too movement. that
Yeah.
women said enough is enough. And
Yeah.
it should be, people should be glad that they don't have to have a movement.
All right, look, check this out.
That
Okay, listen. Yeah, listen. Let me, because you're talking about police reform, let me just pose this question. Do you all believe that it's necessary, that police reform is necessary today?
I do, and as a matter of fact, so does Donald Trump, and he said that. He had a roundtable discussion, and he said he would be reforming the police, and he would rid the police department of the bad apples.
Okay,
and
Dr. Pruitt. So tell me, I guess in your own words, or the words of how you perceive for this particular Trump administration, what do you believe that police reform should look like?
Well, I believe, like the president said, that we need to get rid of the bad apples that are in the police department, because I also know that you have the police department that was infiltrated by MS-13 gang members. They were infiltrated by gang members that don't necessarily uphold the same ideology of the police department. So you need to root those people out. You also need to reform the police officers and retrain them, because what people don't understand is that police officers are actually policy enforcers. They do not necessarily uphold the law. They uphold policies, statutes, and codes. So you have to make sure you retrain them in constitutional law and teach them how to uphold the law. And they also were not necessarily created to protect the people. They protect corporate interests or corporations. So when you talk about the police policy enforcement or policy enforcers or police officers, then you really have to retrain them, because again, the police department is not a lawful entity. It's an unlawful corporate institution that has to be retrained and taught how to serve and protect the people. And then go ahead.
No, okay. So you believe then that there is a systemic problem in police departments across America? It sounds like.
I believe that there are some bad apples, yes, within the police department, but I also believe that there are some very good police officers that do their job and do.
Right, absolutely. And I think we all agree that there are some really good police officers. But I guess my question is that, and I guess what I'm trying to figure out from your answer is, because it sounds like this is what you're saying. It sounds like that there are problems in police departments and there's a need for reform.
Yes.
And I guess I'm trying to figure out, because it sounds like you agree that there is a systemic problem in police departments, and that's one of the reasons that we need to reform.
I believe I don't know that there's a systemic problem. I believe that there are some issues within the police department, some bad apples, like I said, within the police department.
Are any of those issues racial issues, Dr. Pruitt?
Are they racial issues? Well, I believe, I looked at some numbers. I don't have the numbers before me, but I have seen that police officers actually abuse or beat up men that are not African American. So you have numbers where they actually brutally beat Caucasian men as well. So I don't know that it's a race issue. I really don't.
Right, but if the number of Caucasian males being beat down by police is less than 10% of the population, of their population, I shouldn't say their population is more, but less than 10% in a particular community, and it is at 55% for the African Americans in that community, wouldn't that suggest to you that just because it's happening to some white boy, that doesn't mean that it's not a problem in the African American community?
Absolutely. I believe that, if the numbers are as what you say they are, and I'm sure you've done your research, then that would be an issue. But I have a question for you. Is there a criminal code for police brutality?
Yes, but no. There is no separate criminal code, but you do have to understand that, believe it or not, police officers are held to the same standard as everyday citizens, with some few exceptions. So their conduct has to conform to the same behavior that we expect of you and I. Okay, that's a requirement.
Yes, sir. But there's no criminal code. Okay, there's a reason why I asked this question, because where there is no law, there's no transgression. So if you say that you have a problem with police brutality, then what you need, in my humble opinion, what you need to do is to create legislation that would create legislation that is against police brutality and say police brutality is unlawful. And then that way, when you have that type of legislation or law in place, then you can enforce it. So what we do,
Right, but wouldn't that be impossible though, Dr. Pruitt? No, hold on a second now. But wouldn't that be impossible? I mean, if we had a whole separate criminal code for the police department, when we send these men and women out with guns, and a lot of us in the community and a lot of politicians don't want to admit it, but we send them out to kill if necessary.
We do.
Right? So wouldn't it be unfair to the people that we send out to kill if necessary, to then have a criminal code for them, because killing obviously is a crime?
Yes, but again, where there's no law, there's no transgression, and this country was founded on biblical principles, so you have to have a law in place. So if you have a law in place, then you can enforce it. But I also talked about police reform, where you retrain them so that they don't shoot to kill. You know, there are ways to handle people who are being offensive towards you. I don't know why we're against creating policy or creating a law against police brutality. Is really not that difficult. Then you can enforce it, or if you have a problem with police brutality, then you can operate in your proper persons and become sovereign, so that you won't be subject or relegated to the United States Incorporated, or you can allow the president to do his job and put us back on a republic, which would make us all sovereign. So when you're a sovereign, you're not subject to policy enforcers, because you're not a citizen. A citizen or a slave is subject to a policy enforcer.
Interesting. Alvin, you had a comment.
Well, there's two different presidents that has been confronted with police problems.
Yeah.
Barack Obama had to have a beer summit with a police officer that arrested and mistreated Professor Gates. That they had a summit at the White House. They had a discussion about how police officers should interact with African Americans. Here was a renowned professor that was mistreated in his own home. Then you have that incident take place. We also had President Trump, who told police officers to rough them up. Don't put your hand behind their head. Throw them in the car, hurt them, that they're criminals. When you talk about police, there's a decency that's in humans that don't have to be written in black and white.
Yes.
That if you are killing a guy and you got your knee on his neck and he calls out for his mother, that you're a bad person. We didn't have to have no codes and no policies when 9 police officers beat Rodney King, and a guy just happened to be looking at the beautiful sunset in California and seeing this African American getting beat by batons. You don't have to have nothing in black and white to understand that you are a human being too.
I agree.
That these are not they're not bad cops. They're bad human beings.
I agree with
you. I would say if you reform, that you need to get beautiful female officers like yourself. And I think that would take and bring a change, because men probably wouldn't try to hurt them, would listen to them, they'd be kinder to the people that they pull over. There's some common sense things that override politics. If you have a president of the free world, one who encouraged and had a beer summit to bring peace with a community, with police and African Americans.
Yes.
And you have a president who's saying, rough them up, that if the police is taking signal from the commander-in-chief that he's not going to do nothing to us, and we rough them up and kill them, that we're covered. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
There's people, blacks and whites, who say because of the way George was killed, because of the way that Ahmaud was shot down in that little country road down in Georgia, and the way that fellow was shot down in his back down in Georgia. Do you know when you shot a cowboy in the back, you call it a yellow belly, and they would hang you? That this is what we're seeing. And this is why people are tearing up, going crazy, protesting, and doing what they're doing. And I hope that down in Louisville, Kentucky, Breonna Taylor, that the stubborn Attorney General of Kentucky make a move to bring justice for that young lady,
Yes.
by moving to arrest the police officers that was involved in the no-knock policy that led to her death.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
Dr. Pruitt.
Yes.
Common sense.
Okay, go ahead. You were about to say something.
Well, I mean, I agree that police brutality and police misconduct is not acceptable. So I agree with the brother, and I agree that we need police reform wholeheartedly. I know that President Obama, I believe I read something where he actually supported Blue Lives Matter in the police department, which I understand. We need police. We need police to make sure that our communities are safe. So, you know, I have to say you're absolutely right. I believe we need police reform. I believe we need counselors to go to some of these calls that police are called to, because everything doesn't necessarily mandate a police officer show up on the scene. Some people need counselors. Some people need social workers. Some people need some type of medical care. So 100%, I'm with you on that. I heard Donald Trump's roundtable discussion. He said the same thing. I will also submit to you that everything that we see on television is not necessarily as it seems. I'm totally against police brutality. I do know also, and this is just, you know, from my research, that sometimes, you know, they stage false flag events to get people emotionally charged so that they can go outside of, you know, become emotionally charged, become angry and riot and protest. Now, I think protest, if that's what you want to do, makes sense. Donald Trump acknowledged the protesters. He said that African Americans were being very peaceful in their protests, but he said that they were infiltrated by Antifa. And then he said that Antifa incited riots and also caused some people to tear up their communities, and he deemed them as a terroristic organization. So I have to give him props for that, and I'm very pleased that he did that. So I don't think that was a racist move. I think that shows that he is sympathetic with the African American community. He understands what we've been through. He understands the trauma that it causes to see this played out in the media over and over and over again. I don't understand why people continue to traumatize themselves by watching these things over and over again. But you know, people have a right to do what they will. And so I just would like to say that yes, absolutely, I agree that people should be upset about that, and I agree that we need police reform. I agree that the president is doing the best that he can to ensure that we have police reform. He created an executive order for it.
Let me just hold
I'm
on, Alvin. Let me just
sorry.
tackle two more quick subjects before we have to get off of here, because we got about 180 seconds and then we have to go. And the first one is, and I'm going to direct this to you, Dr. Pruitt. There has been a lot in the news, and I know that the president deems some news to be fake news, but there's been quite a bit in the news lately about President Putin and the Russians actually financing bounties within the Taliban to actually kill American soldiers. And America, a good part of America seems to be upset, particularly the veteran part of America seems to be upset because Donald Trump doesn't have a reaction to that at all. What are your thoughts on that? Are we just dealing with fake news?
I don't know if it's fake news or not. Honestly, I hadn't heard that. But I don't know that people gave Donald Trump the time to respond to that. And I honestly don't understand why people think that the president needs to answer to everything that they think he needs to answer to. He's doing a good job of running his country. When we talk about the job of the President of the United States Incorporated, the job of the President of the United States Incorporated really is to protect the interests of the stakeholders. It's not necessarily to answer to the people. Now, Donald Trump has decided to answer the people and has decided to do what's in the best interest of the people. But a president that's over a corporation does not have to do that. That is not within his realm of responsibilities.
Right, but don't you think it's right? But don't you think it's humanistic to when your intelligence community is saying to you, we have intelligence that he financed his country, his everything about Russia and Putin. He financed bounties to kill American soldiers, and apparently Donald Trump has just had a nonchalant response to that. And I'm just thinking, as the president of the United States, don't you? I mean, do you not expect more? I mean, as citizens of the United States, shouldn't we expect the president to say, at least, at a minimum, we need to look into this, as opposed to saying, "Oh, I didn't see that in my intelligence briefing."
You know, the president has been through a lot. He's been through Russiagate, where they said that he colluded with the
He has been through a lot.
He's been through impeachment gate, where they said that he needs to be impeached. I mean, they've said a lot about the man. That he can't say anything without them twisting his words. He can't do anything without them saying he's racist. You know, he said he's a nationalist. They said he's a white nationalist, and that's not what he said. I mean, anything that the man does, they make a big deal out of it. And so if I were him, if I were the president, honestly, I would focus on making my country great again. I would focus on draining the swamp. I would focus on freezing the assets of the people who are involved in child and sex trafficking, which he's doing. I would focus on rescuing children who've been involved in child sex trafficking, which is what Operation Tucson is doing, which is what Operation Underground is doing. I would focus on dismantling the Federal Reserve banking system, which monetized our birth certificates and enslaved the whole planet. I would focus on dismantling the IRS. I would focus on restoring the constitutional law. I would focus on reforming the police. I would focus on putting money into the HBCUs. I would focus on giving scholarships to young Black girls and boys so they can choose whatever schools they decide. Those are the things that I would focus on.
But he hasn't done that yet, right? He hasn't done all of that. He hasn't done most of that.
He's done most of that, and it's in the works. You know, did you know that now when you go to the store, they're telling you to bring the exact change because they don't have enough dollars and coins in circulation? What that indicates to me is that the Federal Reserve they don't have any money anymore. That the United States Treasury Department is taking the fiat dollars out of circulation so that we can eject into the system, go back money. True constitutional money. He's doing a lot for the American people. If we stop putting our focus on somebody being racist, racism is a race to gather resources. There is nobody preventing you from gathering resources. There's nobody preventing you from growing your own garden, gathering resources to have food. There's nobody preventing you from investing in gold and silver, which is real money. There's nobody preventing you from investing in a resource of family and resource of education. There's nobody preventing you from educating your own children. There's nobody preventing you from establishing a militia to protect your own family, which is lawful to have a militia. There's nobody preventing you from doing this. So if racism is about a race to resources, what we need to do is stop focusing on what the government is or is not doing for us and become self-empowered and self-sufficient. Nobody is preventing you from doing that. Why are men on their knees talking about taking a knee for justice? I'm a woman. I don't have respect for a man on his knees. You're a man, you're a soldier. Get up on your feet and defend your community. Why you got your hands up talking about hands up, don't shoot? You are a man. Use those hands to pick up arms, which is your constitutional right, and defend me and my children. What is it with these whining, complaining, weak, mealy-mouthed, jellyback men that want to take knees? Get off your knees and stand up on your feet and defend me and my community. What the heck? Why are you worried about what Donald Trump is doing? You are a grown man. Why are you concerned about the words that come out of his mouth? As a woman, I respect a man that says what he means, a man that means what he says and says it without apologizing. Has anybody in the room ever been charged with being forced to apologize for something that you felt strongly about? Absolutely. And did you apologize? Hell no, because you are a man. You stand on your principles. You say what you mean. You mean what you say. You're not mean. You mean it.
No, interesting.
That's what a man needs to do.
I got about 30 seconds each. Alvin, you're laughing. But listen, here's my last. I have to get out of here. I got 30 seconds for you, Alvin, and I know you want to respond to that, but let me just ask you to respond to this. Has Donald Trump made America great again?
He's not made America great again. And he is a guy that would be a target if he wasn't sitting president of the Me Too movement, of the Black Lives Matter movement, because he is the one that they both would pivot to, say he's bad for both doctrines. He is a man that is not popular internationally, from Russia to any other parts of our international community. This is a man that was not invited to John McCain's funeral at all. That this man is a person that is despised throughout America with people, not just black people, but white people. He wanted to take and throw out words, Antifa. I see more black people out there protesting, along with white folks, along with black people. In the hollows of Kentucky, Carl, in Hazard and Harlan, Kentucky, white folks are coming out with Black Lives Matter signs. Those might be Trump supporters in Appalachia, that they are tired of racism. You know why? Because their grandpappy might be a white man that loves his black grandchild. So the world has changed. And Donald Trump is not the one that has made America great again. If you look around and you can see, he's not popular internationally. We got enemies abroad because of him. We got enemies nationally because of him.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to cut short for time because I know I got a DJ show that's following me.
Thank you.
So thank you for that comment, Dr. Pruitt.
Yes, sir.
Has he made America great again?
Yes,
30 seconds.
Absolutely, he has. He has brought companies back into America, which will employ the American people. He has put tariffs on China, and other countries with whom we do business, which is amazing because other administrations have allowed it so that companies can move out of the country. And what they did when they stopped putting tariffs on the country was they started taxing the American people, which is unlawful. So he's putting tariffs on those countries. He's bringing companies back into America. He has completed the USMCA agreement, which is a trade agreement between the United States, Mexico, and Canada. Absolutely. And despite public opinion, he is actually working with Russia and China to bring us on a gold standard, to establish world peace. He has established world peace. He established peace with Kim Jong-un, which no other administration has done before. He is making America great again. He is doing things for the African-American community. He has put money into HBCUs. He has put money into opportunity zones to build up the Black community. He's doing prison reform. He's doing police reform. He is absolutely making America great again. And he's teaching you how to be a nationalist and how to love your country and stand up for your nation and how to stop depending on the man, the government, the president, anybody else to do what you need to do to provide for yourself, to take care of your family.
All right, thank you.
Make America great again.
Yeah, spoken like a true Trump supporter. Listen,
My God.
Albert Brown, Dr. Kia Pruitt, I want to thank you all so much for joining us tonight here on Conscious Fever. And we have to do this again.
Yes.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, brother Alvin Brown. I appreciate you.
Yes.
You're such a sweet dude. I appreciate you.
You've done a great job, Doc.
I'm out of here.
Welcome back to Conscious Fever, hosted by Karl Price.
All right, welcome back to Conscious Fever here on Ice Entertainment Television and Conscious Fever Radio. Wow. I want to thank Dr. Kia Pruitt and Mr. Alvin Brown for joining us tonight here on Conscious Fever. What do y'all think about that? I'm going to let y'all comment on that because we have gone over, and because we're gone over, I've got to get out of here so this DJ show can come on. So listen, I tell you, we don't hold anything back here on Conscious Fever. We just let it flow. Everybody wanted a Trump supporter, so we've given you a Trump supporter. Again, I want to thank our guests for joining us tonight. I'm Karl Price. This has been Conscious Fever. We are about to log off here. And I guess the question remains, has Donald Trump really made America great again? Interesting stuff. Anyway, listen, join us next week and keep watching Conscious Fever. Again, you can catch us on Facebook at the Conscious Fever Facebook page, and you can also catch us on YouTube. We're on YouTube. The handle on YouTube, or the name of the channel on YouTube is Conscious Fever. All right, I'm Karl Price. This has been Conscious Fever here on Ice Entertainment Television. I'll see you next week.
Either you work hard for it, or you don't work hard for it. Well, me and my brother, we work hard for our stuff. It don't come easy. In life, you have to work. Either Want to be the shark of the ocean or the fish of the ocean? And right now we want to be the shark. Take over everything. Strength, no weakness. Power, you must have to have that mindset. So you're gonna come in here and dominate. When you say, no. Don't put yourself down. Motivate yourself. Keep yourself up, pumped, and ready for any challenge.
I was born by the river in a little tent. Like the river I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die. 'Cause I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it is. Then I go to my brother. And I say, brother, help me please. But he wind up knocking back down on the knee. Oh, there've been times that I thought I couldn't last for long, but now I think I'm able, Father, to carry on. And it's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it is. Yes it is. Yes it is.